What is up, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning in to So Real Sports Talk. We have a very special guest, Mr. SliveradoKev, co-host of, is it Niner Talk? I keep
Real Talk Niner Talk.
Real Talk Niner Talk
baby.
podcast every Tuesday, 4 p.m. Pacific time. Definitely got to tune in there. If you like what you're about to see from this guy on this side, you're going to get more of it over there. So how you feeling, Kev, coming back from the Bay? We were just talking about it off camera.
I did a Facebook post when I got back, man. I used the word recharged. You know what I'm saying? So every now and then you need to recharge your soul, your spirits, your mind, your mental. So, going home and seeing family always does that for me. You know what I'm saying? I had to, you got to plug in sometimes. You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? So
absolutely.
Just as sometimes you got to unplug from the matrix.
Yeah,
you got to plug in and charge your battery. You know what I'm
saying? Hey, man. Well, it's a blessing always to have family, and then being able to spend time with family is even better. So I'm glad you got to get a chance to finally tap in, man. So, but there's more that I want to learn about your experience over there, man. So the first preseason game in Levi Stadium in a while, man, the fans were back, and you were right there in the stadium with everybody. I want to know the whole experience, Kev, not just the game, but for people that didn't get to experience. Talk about the tailgating, what the fans were like, what the energy was like, what the food was like. Tell us about the overall experience in the first game back at Levi's.
Man, look, and you can talk to anybody else who was there. It didn't seem like a preseason game, bro. It was the energy was just high, like it was almost like a playoff game atmosphere. And that's the one thing about Niner fans, and I can't speak for any other fan of the other team because I never been there. I never done that.
Right.
But the energy was like a playoff game. Like, seeing people you ain't seen in a while, meeting new people, seeing old folks like, yo. I mean, the tailgate was nuts. Now, I will say the tailgate wasn't as thick as it normally is.
Right.
But it was a lot more thicker than you would think it was for a preseason game. Everybody kept saying that. Like, yo, is this a regular season or not? Because we out here deep. And, and the faithful be out there repping tough in droves.
Right.
I forget her name, but she's one of the analysts on the NFL Network, and she was even saying that in the hotel she was in, she was like, yo, like, is this a regular season game? Because, folks checking into the hotel. I mean, people conducted themselves like it was regular season, and it was beautiful, bro. It was beautiful, man. Like, just the energy. It just, I was just happy to be there. I was almost mystified, and I've been there before, so it was great to be there, man.
Man, what was the energy like actually in the stadium when game time was about to start? Did you even have a voice at that point, or was it already gone?
Just me and Dion, we'll talk about that later, but me and Dion was trying to find our seats, and that was an adventure. You know what I'm saying? So we had to go through, I forgot the name of the area, but there's an area that you really can't access if you don't have, like a VIP. We told the lady, like, look, we just trying to get to our seats, which is right down there. Can we just go through here? Inside, it was all air conditioned. I'm like, how much these seats cost? Next time I might be up here. So we finally got to our seats, man. And just, even though there were a lot of empty seats still, it was just, I can't even explain it. Just the energy was like, yo, like, this game's finna start.
Right.
And it was amazing, man. And, when it came out the tunnel and everything, the roar of the crowd, just, this Niners. It was crazy, bro. It was crazy.
Hey, man, it looked like that even from, watching it on TV, or for me, I had to stream it just because, I'm out of the network or whatever, being, in Southern California. But it seemed, I know it wasn't full capacity, but it was loud in there. It seemed like it was pretty loud. Definitely there were certain moments where it popped big time. Obviously, Trey was the big star that everybody wanted to see. Yeah, we're going to talk about it. Don't worry. But I'm glad, man. It's great to see fans in there, man. I'm glad you got a chance to experience it. Hopefully, and I'm sure you're going to be going back for some regular season games and whatnot.
Yeah. Colts game, I'll be up there again for the Colts game.
Nice, man. That's a good one to go, man. D-Buck's going to be back.
Right.
And, I hope everybody gives him a good ovation because, he did well for the Niners. But I kind of wanted to go a little bit off topic, man. So some news came out. Josh Rosen was cut from the team yesterday to make room for some players that they brought in. But what this really does is solidify that probably the quarterback room we have right now with Trey, Jimmy, and Sudfeld is going to be the quarterback room for the whole year. And so I think that's like a kind of looking into the glass as far as what Shanahan and Lynch and what they want to happen this season. A lot of us fans really want to see Trey Lance start. I know last time we talked, you spoke about that as well. But overall, do you agree with the way, the 49ers coaching staff is handling this offseason, not only just with the quarterback situation, but also, how they approached the preseason game in the first one that you were at?
I got an article coming out. I'm gonna submit tomorrow.
Okay.
To Grant, so I'm gonna do the best I can not to just divulge too much of what's in there. But for the most part, Trey still needs some work. He definitely does. I mean, but he hasn't played a game almost 2 years. You know what I'm saying? It's been a while. But I've been back and forth about how I felt about how Kyle Shanahan handled this. And one part of me understands, like the fan in me is like, oh, how could you? Then the coach in me is like, okay, I kind of get it. Like, for example, the first thing people saying is, oh, he didn't run not once, he didn't use his legs. And I talked to some of the guys last night. What I compare it to, you follow basketball too, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I kind of compare it to, let's just say I played for you, and he was like, Kev, all right, look, your right hand is nice, but this first game, I want you to act like you tied your right hand behind your back. I want you to only go left. I don't care if you get picked. I don't care if you turn the ball over. I only want you going left. I want you on the left side of the court for the majority of the game. And I'm getting ripped. I'm falling. I'm kind of fumbling a little bit, but you're like, hey, don't worry about it. Just get comfortable being uncomfortable. So that's one of the things I really think that Kyle Shanahan was trying to do. And and of course there's certain things that Trey Lance can get better at, and I think he forced him to do that. So and he missed a couple reads, and things like that. But again, he hadn't played in a while, and but when he came in the game, bro, it was it was like,
electric,
man. It was crazy. It was crazy, man. And
there hasn't been a player in a while, I think, that has this big of a, like that we've been this excited about in a while, right? So especially just with the timing and everything that's been given up, and you could tell, from the excitement of the fans.
It was nuts, man. Especially when he threw that touchdown pass. Oh man, I'm gonna send it to you as well. But I actually got that play, recording on my phone, and it's funny because I told Dion to say, hey man, he finna air it out. And he was like, huh? I said, just watch. He about to air it out. And he was like, all right. He looked at me like, you talking to Shanahan or something? I was like, I just got a feeling that, I was like, yeah, right now? Okay, I got you. So Shanahan, he dialed it up, that nice little play action boot. And bruh, from the time he made the play action fake, I mean, the whole defense went the other way. And Trey come over there by himself was like, do. Oh, hey, I got you. And man, it was just the feeling like you could have followed the ball in the air, like, yeah. I mean, it was a dime, so it was just amazing. Like you said, there hasn't been that kind of hype behind a quarterback in a long time, since Cap maybe, where that dynamic of a quarterback was playing for our team. And it had a little wobble on it, it was a little windy out there too, but he got it there though.
Yeah.
So it was amazing, man. It was just to see him get out there. He didn't look nervous or anything like that. He looked like he was ready for the stage. It's just that it was his first time out there.
Now, I do want to get into Jimmy, even though he played a little bit. But before we get into that, I wanted to get your perspective because you said something, and I think the basketball analogy was a really great way of portraying it. The fact that they're working on his quote unquote weaknesses. And one thing that I've been bringing up when we're talking about Trey Lance is a lot of people don't realize that even in college, he was only averaging about 16, 17 pass attempts per game.
Right.
He wasn't somebody who aired the ball out a lot. And part of it was because they were just so much better than everybody they played. They were blowing people out. So he wasn't necessarily playing all four quarters. And then the other aspect is that he just is a phenomenal athlete and has that weapon where he could just take off running, and they use that a lot more in college than they probably do at the pro level. However, the fact that Kyle Shanahan is like, look, we are going to basically tie one of your hands behind your back, and that being his mobility and running, and just focus on the passing game. Does that make you believe that they are trying to get Trey ready for week 1 to be the starter?
I mean, yes. And it kind of goes back to my original point. Like, of course, there's going to be things you want somebody to focus on to get better at. Excuse me. I assume the way Kyle Shanahan feels, look, we know you can run. We know what you can do with your legs. Show me you can be a pocket passer. Let's get better at that. Mm-hmm. And they're, especially behind a second or third string offensive line, you're like, you're going to get this man killed. But in the same breath, you got to get used to taking those hits. You got to get used to kind of taking sacks and taking care of himself and getting down and things like that. And, he took 4 sacks. A couple of them, he probably could have got the ball off. There was one play where they were in a single back set, and we motioned Gallman out to the left hash, and so it turned to an empty set. Gallman was in midfield, butt naked. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if Trey just didn't see him, but he could have hit him. But that's the one thing he got to get better at. And again, he hasn't seen live bullets in a long time.
Sure.
Like you know how like you may watch a scary movie or something, and somebody's driving a car, and you see what they're about to hit a block down the road, but they like, you like turn.
Yeah.
You about to run into a wall.
Yeah, you're screaming at the television like it's right. He's right behind you.
Right, and like they can't move. It was almost like Trey was like, damn it, But again, he hasn't seen things like that in a while. So he's gonna only get better. And one thing about Trey, I've seen that he learns fast. He's very intuitive. He's a smart kid. So and nobody like getting hit. So I'm pretty sure whatever he can do not to get hit, he's gonna keep doing.
Yeah, it was really interesting that he didn't even break the line of scrimmage with his legs. You know what I mean? And maybe some of that was obviously the porous offensive line play. He didn't really have an opportunity. Like, nobody is breaking those tackles. Maybe Lamar, maybe, back in the day, Mike Vick. But, most people are getting sacked when the guy's just free blitzer just coming in on your blind side, But some of it is, it seems like he was a little bit hesitant with the trigger. Can you talk a little bit? I know you see it in a different light because of you having your coaching background. Is this something, because I spoke to Jack Hammer a little bit earlier this week, and he said this is something that is kind of a trend with Trey, even from his college tape, is, that whole saying, throw a guy open? He tends to hesitate when there's somebody in his line of sight in between him and the receiver. And that anticipation throw is something that he needs to work on. Are you seeing that same tendency or hesitancy from Trey?
Yes. Now, it was one particular play, and I want to talk about. You recall the play where you dropped that out route?
Yes.
I got that one on tape too. So if you notice, when he first dropped back, he kind of cocked and then brought it back. I think he had Sherfield streaking down the left.
Yeah, he was open.
Now, I wasn't sure if perhaps he was like, nah, that's too risky, but I'm pretty sure he could have lasered that in there and put it between himself and a defender and been okay. But he had the fullback open in the flat, but he chose to go to IU. But you got excited because like, he didn't do it. But he climbed the pocket, and he found IU. He threw a laser in there too.
Yeah.
I don't know if IU was ready for that heat.
Yeah, obviously he wasn't. But that play you talked about, Kev, is exactly the play that Jack pointed out, because what was happening, and I don't know if you've gone back to look at it. I guess the defender that was guarding Sherfield had his back to Lance because he was kind of thrown off by the movement by the receivers. So it was a play where I think it was a linebacker or a corner, I'm not sure, was playing catch up to Sherfield, and instead of throwing the ball, which was going to be just basically a pitch and catch to Sherfield, he hesitated because he had that defender in between him and the receiver. Did you see any? Yeah, did you see any passes where he was throwing it without like completely being like open or having a window, or are you noticing that he gets a little bit nervous when there's somebody in between him and his receiver?
Well, that hesitation can work for or against you. You see what I'm saying? Because that split moment where you hesitate, you may take a sack, you may get stripped, but at the same time, it can save you a turnover. Like for example, I forgot who he was trying to go to, but I think he was throwing a corner route, and the man on the off man kind of dropped off his man and got in between in the throwing lane. It should have been an interception, but the boy dropped it. And so that would have been one I kind of wish he would have hesitated and not went there, to protect the ball. But, like somebody just said in the comments, a lot of rookie QBs have that issue, especially it's your first time out there. You don't want to mess up. Yep, right there. You don't want to mess up. But again, I think he'll get even better. I do want to just take a real quick step back.
Please.
Jimmy looked like Jimmy. People, Jimmy went 3 for 3. He had no incompletions. I mean, Jimmy threw Jimmy passes.
Right.
Check down, short stuff, So, hey, good to see Jimmy out there feeling good. And to be honest, man, the more I think about it, and I'm not a Jimmy hater at all. I just believe in the grand scheme of things, once he's ready, that Trey most definitely gives us our best chance to win. But it's kind of a benefit to have both guys on the team, So you can kind of, hedge your bets a little bit to say, hey, look, this is what we're going to do in the event. Someone's not having good insurance, like car insurance, right?
Yeah.
Chris Rock said a long time ago, car insurance should be called in case-ish.
Yep.
Just in case, something happened. So in this situation, you got a good insurance plan. Now, granted, Jimmy's insurance is a whole lot more high-end, than Trey's, right? More expensive than Trey's, but hey, at least you got insurance. So, and like I said, Jimmy's not a bad quarterback. He just has that good Jimmy versus bad Jimmy. And sometimes the bad Jimmy takes over, so.
And Kev, can you speak a little bit to Jim? Because look, we haven't seen Jimmy in a while too, right? He's been out not playing football for a long time due to injuries. And he tried earlier in the season. He got injured last season. I'm talking about. Tried to come back. He didn't look good when he came back. Wasn't very mobile. Hesitated and stuff like that. You said that it's good Jimmy again, where you're seeing him. Did he look, with you being in the stands, did he look like he was moving better on that ankle? Did he seem like a healthy version of Jimmy to you?
He seemed healthy, but again, he just seemed like Jimmy.
Yeah, he's limited.
He did seem more, pumped. Let's go. Let's get out there. And what I like the most, I didn't actually see it during the play. I saw it on the replay, but just how happy he was for Trey after he threw that touchdown. Listen, you said you want about the guy, but he's a team player. He was genuinely happy for Trey. Like, hey, great job, kid. You know what I'm saying? Let's go.
Right.
Anything I can do to help you get better, I will. So for everybody thinking this is some kind of controversy between them two and Jimmy want the word for Trey and vice versa is not the case. I think they're going to be proud of each other whenever they make plays.
Yeah, and that's one thing I said, recently on a pod that I did. I think it was with Jack Hammer on Monday. Like, you got to give credit to Jimmy Garoppolo. He's been thrown in a very tough situation, and he's handled it with nothing but class.
Right.
One of the things, I've been really high on, trading Jimmy in the offseason and all that kind of stuff, because we just saw recently what happened with the Eagles with Hurts and Wentz, and it divided that locker room, and basically that whole season was a debacle, and they ended up having to trade Wentz because, and a coach got fired because of all the turmoil that was happening that offseason. And I was afraid maybe that could happen. But Jimmy has just been amazing as far as a leader, as far as his maturity. And he genuinely seemed happy for Trey on that touchdown pass. And I agree with you, man. Now that we know that he's probably going to be here for at least this year, it's nice to see they're interacting in a way that isn't like hostile. And it seems like whomever wins out that starting role, the other player would be happy for them, throughout the season, which is going to be good, not only on the field, but also in the locker room.
Most definitely.
Cool. Well, let's get to some specifics. But before that, let me shout out some people, because there's been some new faces that I wanted to talk to. Kali Young, Sunil Kev, my dogs, what it do? It do everything, my dude. Thank you so much for tapping in. Melissa, is this pronounced Rebelli? I'm sorry if I butchered.
Oh, she goes by Izzy. Hey, Izzy.
Okay, Izzy, man, that T is fire, Kev. Thank you, Melissa, for tapping in. I know you were giving me props for bringing Kev, but it's an honor for me to have a guy like Kev on the show. I try to get him as often as possible. He knows I'm lighting up his Twitter all the time, asking him to be on the show. Coach Timo, Sunil, you keep putting out quality content. Kev, how you doing, fam? Nice to see you again. Thank you, Coach Timo. Coach Timo, I wanted to tell you, on the last stream earlier today, you told me, hey, reach out to Croc again. I actually did right after the show. Use your advice. Croc's coming on the show Monday morning, my friend. So we're gonna get him talking all defense, all secondary. Thanks so much, Timo, for the advice. Yeah, man. I think that's pretty much Pinor. Man, where have you been going, bro? Where have you been, my man? Pinor coming back in. Thank you so much for tuning in, my guy. So let's get to the next topic, man.
Okay.
I know one of your first articles, and when I first brought you on, we were talking about the defensive line. You've been extremely high on them, especially the depth, especially the interior depth. Obviously, the defensive line in the preseason game was pretty much off the depth because none of the starters played. So tell us what you saw out of the defensive line, especially since most of these guys are going to be, more fill-in players off the bench, not the starters. How did you feel about everything?
Well, it was funny because, like I said, I know I said Dion name a lot, but that's what I was sitting with my man Dion. Shout out to Dion, Not a Game podcast. It's funny because when it came out there, we're looking like, okay, we see Greenlaw and everybody else. There's only one starter, bro. It's just one starter.
Right.
The rest were, second string guys trying to get reps. But I will say, I like what I saw from them guys. But what I want to see more in particular was finally seeing D'Amico's defensive scheme. You know, you didn't really see a whole lot more of that. I like to call it the baby poop soft zones that you saw. You know what I'm saying? Last year or
the cover three.
Right. You know what I'm saying? So the defensive line was attacking a lot, and I loved it. And there was a whole lot of almost sacks of that game too. So Arden Key did his thing, Givens did his thing. A couple other guys, I think 94.
Hurst?
Willis.
Willis. Jordan Willis. Yeah, Jordan Willis.
So, none of our starting D-line was out there. So for that to be what it was, they had some pretty good pressure in most plays. The run defense was meh, you know what I'm saying? But again, that wasn't our starting D. Now Kansas City came out swinging. They had their whole team out there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That was what I think was the most impressive thing is all of our backups were going up against starters. It wasn't like the B team. I mean, obviously they weren't out there the whole quarter. They played like 1-2 series maybe, but there was no big plays, no Tyreek Hill didn't get all loose and go out for an 80-yard pass play, and stuff like that. So I was pretty excited. Tell us a little bit more, Kev, about the wrinkles that you saw, like D'Amico Ryans with the defensive line. What did you see that was different from maybe Saleh in previous years?
What I did see that I liked, one of the most beautiful things I saw, I forgot what play it was, bro. Maybe it was third down. But we went from a basic 4-3 to then you saw two guys, and there's a guy in each A-gap. I like to call it as a coach, creep, show, go.
Mm-hmm.
So they creeped and they showed, but at the snap, they all bail. So that's something I haven't seen in a while from the defense. But I'm thinking they finna send everybody. Yeah, you know what I mean? The back end was ready for it, and I was ready to see it because when you send more than you can block, that's what happens. But they all bail at the snap. Matter of fact, I think Hufanga was in the weak side A-gap, and I was a linebacker, and may have been Griffin in the strong side A-gap. And I'm like, oh, it's gonna go down. But at the snap, they all bail. So I do like to see. I mean, I did like seeing the aggressiveness from D'Amico as far as the defensive schemes. It looked like they did a whole lot of we're gonna play show 3, play 2, show 1, or show 2, play 1. So basically meaning you're showing cover 2, but you're playing cover 3, or you're showing cover 1 and you're playing cover 2. So I like the rotation of the safeties and the disguises they were having on defense. And I'm telling you, man.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
I'm just saying. I'm telling you. Once these first team guys get out there and all put all together, it's gonna be nasty out there, bro.
It's spooky hours. It's spooky hours for these offenses, right? So tell us a little bit because one thing, some of the comments that I've been getting is a lot of times I bring great talent like you on here, and you kind of talk about these philosophies and these schemes, but we need to break it down a little bit more for people that maybe don't understand. So can you give us a little bit more in depth about what these changes mean on the field for the defense as opposed to what they saw with Saleh?
All respect to Silas. I think DeMeco Ryans are going to do a better job at using his talent than Saleh did, and I also think that a lot of Saleh's success was based upon the talent, if that makes sense. Because he was a real dynamic, and he covered 3, covered 1, covered 2, and that was about it. And like I said, a lot of these soft zones, and you didn't see much of that. You saw a lot of these guys in either off man or press man the other day, and I love it. So I'm telling you, man, like it's going away from the norm. Excuse me, because I know most teams in the past, they know we're gonna do a soft cover 3, a soft cover 1, single high, safety middle of the field. Now we're kind of rotating it and switching things up. So, and it's all about communication. And you got to remember too, a lot of these guys were like second stringers. And for that to be what it was, I like what I saw. Hufanga, man, all over the field. Demo, he held it down. Ambry Thomas did his thing as well. But the one thing I will say that either of them could have done better on defense was get their head around. As a defensive coach, in my own right, I must have said, get your head around the Deion a gazillion. Get your head around, because I cannot stand that. When the DB is just looking at the receiver and kind of just like, hey, here I am, but the ball coming. I mean, there's a technique you can use. What I coach my guys was his guys up, his eyes go up. You get your head around,
right?
Because that's what he's looking for, the ball. And that way, if you get your head around with your hand up, they can't call you for face guard. So other than that, I think the defense looked pretty good. To be having no ones out there, but again, you could just tell the difference between Saleh and DeMeco off the rip, bro. It was like it's a much more aggressive. And I'm telling you, and this front, it's almost like meet you with the quarterback or meet you in the backfield. And they did a couple stunts every now and then. Not a lot of blitzing, but there's enough blitzing to say, okay, you can see the difference.
Yeah, and I think, to kind of maybe put it more in like layman's terms, you're basically saying DeMeco Ryans is bringing more, I guess, complicated looks. So that's gonna, I think the ultimate goal with what DeMeco Ryans trying to do, he said he's gonna use pressure. A lot of the single man, like you talk, which is basically one-on-one on the outside with these corners. A lot of it is to kind of get more turnovers, which is something that the 49ers defense hasn't been well known for, is actually, turning over the ball. And we saw it happen. Obviously, Lenore was in a position where a ball, was tipped. He got an interception. And I think that's what the game plan is. Would you say, Kev, is like, let's turn the ball over. Let's get, sack the quarterback. 3 and outs and turnovers is like what DeMeco Ryans is really focused on as far as what he could do with this talent on this team.
Follow that, Cab. Exactly what you just said. Be in position to make a play and do your job. Because Demo was right there. He was in his man pocket. He kind of bobbled it. Because I didn't know what happened at first. I'm like, did he pick that up? Oh, he did pick that up. Okay. So like I said, man, a lot of that going away from that 7-9 yards off the ball, I couldn't stand that shit, bro.
You're good. You're good, man. This is not for kids, so don't worry about it. They're in school right now.
I'm used to my show. I'm sorry. But nah, man, like I couldn't stand that why, especially on third down. It's how you 5-7 yards off the damn ball on third down. They're running. They got slants called.
Yeah, it looked like Saleh's philosophy was more trying to limit big plays, whereas DeMeco Ryans trying to win the play. He's trying to win the play, and that's a big difference in philosophy from those two coordinators.
Well, see, man, you got to understand too. DeMeco played.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if Saleh played or not. But
definitely not professional, not at the level that DeMeco did.
Right.
If anything.
And he was out there, in the trenches. So not only can he teach what he saw, he can tell you what he saw. It's like, look, this is what's going to happen. This is what you're going to see, and this is what you need to do. Kyle Shanahan used a term a couple of years ago, play through the coaching, meaning I know what I told you to do, but if you got a guy crossing your face, and even though he's out of your zone, if he's crossing your face, you jump on it. So D'Amico, telling you, he's going to be a whole lot more aggressive. I think it'd be the marriage between the D line and the secondary, the first, second, and third levels, the defensive line, linebackers, and secondary, it's going to be a whole lot more in sync this year, I believe. And like I said, once the ones get out there and they're talking to each other and they're on the same page, on the same sheet of music, it's going to be a beauty to watch, bro. And I don't care who the quarterback is, Trey Lance or Jimmy Garoppolo, they're going to have ample opportunities to score the ball. You know what I'm saying? So I can't wait, man.
And I mean, you kind of, I started talking about the defensive line, but you kind of brought it into, more of the secondary. So tell us a little bit about what you saw out of those guys. I know you spoke a little bit about Amory and Lenoir, and you talked about, they needed to, turn their head around a little bit more, but talk about the stick-activity that these two guys have and, what you believe about these guys as far as being the depth. And I'm prefacing by saying, Kev, a lot of people have been worried about the corner depth, right? Because obviously the two backups are rookies, but seeing what you saw out of them, do you feel like these guys could be players that can be productive even this season if they're called upon, if Eman or Verrett go down?
Eventually, yes.
Okay.
You kind of caught me off guard with that one a little bit. But eventually, yes. And I will say, use the word I like, sticky. Both Thomas and Demo were pretty much, in phase each time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Get your head around, but they were in phase. So there wasn't many plays where they were actually getting beat. There were a play or two where the pass was a bit too wide for the receiver or too long. Where like, ooh, you was beat there, But in most cases they were there,
Mm-hmm.
So and like I coach my kids, being there is half the equation. Just be there,
Mm-hmm.
Now turn your head around, you'll be all right. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Don't just show up to the party. Get there and dance.
Yeah, and these guys also, like a guy like Ambry Thomas didn't play last season, so this is his first time, like you say, getting bullets in a while. And Lenoir also, first game, he spoke about feeling a little bit nervous and all that kind of stuff because this is a big game for them. But putting in the situation that they were in, I think they did pretty well, better than maybe what most fans expected out of the secondary.
And again, Snebra, I wish I could have said this before the game, but you really had to temper your expectations. I mean, because these aren't our starters out there,
right?
But I think they look good. Especially. Listen, who was it out there? I think they had Demo lined up in front of Tariq Hill at one point in time. I was like, oh. And I told Dion, I said, hey man, I wouldn't be surprised if they took a shot down the right sideline to Tariq Hill on the first play. I mean, and Demo was in his face, like, yep. What's up, Tariq? You know what I'm saying? What's happening? So they don't back down. They dogs out there.
I remember, because I was kind of on an island for a long time, Kev, when I talked about, hey, these guys that they drafted out of the secondary, and that's why I brought up Croc, because when I saw his breakdowns, I was like, man, people don't realize what we got in a guy like Thomas and Lenoir. And the thing that I really enjoy about it is that what you just exuded, man, that confidence that they have. These guys aren't like punks. They're not scared of anybody there. And I think that that mentality for a corner does wonders, because having that confidence is key, right? Because if your confidence is shook as a corner, that's bad news.
Short memory too.
Yeah,
confidence
exactly.
And a short memory. I mean, because you think about it, man, you can go from a bad play to a good play or vice versa, but if your head not in the game, you can't be thinking about that last play on the current play.
Right. And we've seen it. We've seen it. I think it was Brian Allen last season. I forget which game it was, but he just got lit up. Miami. He just got lit up play after play after play. And, you obviously saw him shook. And that's one reason also with Ahkello Witherspoon, with all the talent he had, he didn't have that mentality that I think these guys have. And a guy like Mosley, even though Witherspoon has way more physical attributes than a guy like Mosley, Mosley's mentality is what solidified him as a starter in the NFL, even though he was undrafted. So I think that's what the 49ers were bringing in and saw in Ambry and Lenoir. and which is why I think, they're going to be very, very good assets for the 49ers, not only this season, but long-term in the future as well.
Yeah, I'm telling you, those guys, Hufanga, Demo, Thomas, they're all going to get better. And so that depth is going to become solid depth. So I can't wait to see it, man. Seriously. So behind, like you said, the Verrett and the Mosley, I said in one of my articles that Ambry Thomas may push Mosley for snaps. I still feel the same way. I don't think he'll supplant Mosley as a starter, but I do think he'll make sure Mosley is looking over his shoulder. And I do think all those guys are going to get their fair share of snaps. It's going to show, what they can do. And think about it, the deep of the rotation, everybody fresh.
Yep, that'd be great. Izzy says, so the only thing about Hufanga I don't like is people calling him baby Troy Polamalu. Look, that is ridiculous praise. That I like Hufanga, but he's not anywhere close to there yet. I think the only reason you could call him baby Troy Polamalu is because of the hair, right? They kind of look the same when they're on the field. But if he could be even 70-80% of Polamalu, we got a stud, because Polamalu is one of the greatest ever do it.
He was I'm telling you, I use the term a lot, that Visa defense everywhere you want to be. Hey, that's what he was. He's sponsored by Visa the other day. He was everywhere there where you wanted to be. Special teams, he was there.
Yeah.
On defense, he was there. I'm like, yo, like when he made that one play on third down, he must have flew up about 97 miles per hour and made that play. Like, yo, okay, you say that possession. Okay. Yep.
And as long as he can stay healthy, that is another steal that the 49ers have. The reason why he dropped to the fifth round. Yep. And just that aggression. And I think, especially with the way that our safety depth is right now and Tart being injured, Jimmy and him have similar mentalities when it comes to, the way that they play as far as the aggression and the mentality. I could see Hufanga maybe jumping into that starting role and playing that deep safety with Jimmy kind of playing the way that Jimmy plays. Right. And that could be a good situation in the meantime when, till Tart could get healthy again.
Yeah, I agree. I actually tweeted that the other day. I said, Hufanga, he's going to get ample opportunities to show what he can do, especially with Jefferson being hurt and then Tart still being hurt. I know we brought in Ha the other day.
Yeah.
I believe Ha is more of a single high free type safety versus a box safety. Okay.
Yeah, he'll probably more there if Jimmy goes down, that he'll get time there. Or if they have to move Jimmy to slot corner or something, they could bring in Ha and he could play.
You might see a lot of more. I like the 4-2-5 defense where you got 5 DBs, so you might see 3 safeties. Ward, Ha and Hufanga. I mean, or whatever combination you want to use. I've always liked that 4-2-5.
They got options now. Options. So we've been pretty high. We talked a lot about good stuff. There was some bad stuff that was going on, and namely the offensive line, man. We've talked about we were kind of hyping up the offensive line, talking about how we feel like this offensive line could really help out the running game with the inside zone, outside zone, all that kind of stuff. Now, let's preface it by saying the LeBron and AD of this offensive line wasn't playing. All right. So even the Lakers look like trash when AD and LeBron aren't playing, which is why they had to bring in Russ. Right. So they always have some kind of superstar there. There was no superstars playing on the offensive line. However, with that being said, Aaron Banks didn't look good. Jalen Moore got beat quite a few times. And just overall, the offensive line looked really porous. The thing that scared me, there was no push to help out the running game. So tell me why did the offensive line look as bad? Or was the offensive line as bad as it may have looked on camera? And what do you think are the issues right now?
It was worse.
Oh, wow.
I mean, there were times I said, hey, man, I think Trey want to go to the locker room, put on some track spikes and take them cleats off, because he got to do a lot of running, But they did have a couple good reps, more bad reps than good reps. But they're rookies, they're out there, shaking the cobwebs off their first looks at the NFL, and it was bad, man. It was like, you're gonna get this man killed back there, and I don't know, they seem to hold up better once Rosen came in. And I know that Trey and Rosen are two different type of quarterbacks. You know, as an offensive lineman, you kind of got to worry about Trey breaking the pocket and all that. But if he was told not to break the pocket, that's something you didn't have to worry about. But it seemed just that with Rosen back there, it was more he get the ball out, try to find open man. Aside from that terrible interception he threw, other than that, the offensive line just was porous. It was terrible. You know,
and the thing that's really, I guess, disconcerting is Aaron Banks, right? So that's somebody who we felt like was going to come in, really solidify that right guard position. And there was no flashes of brilliance, my man. Like it seemed like, or maybe I missed them, but he seemed like he's really struggling to get caught up in the NFL game.
I forgot what sack it was, one of the four, and I forgot what play it was, but there was a play. He was beat from the snap. It was almost like they were playing tag. And he was chasing that D tackle or the linebacker who came off the edge, and he pretty much just chased him and almost pushed him in the tray. I was like, "Woo!" He was beat off the snap, buddy. So his kick step wasn't deep enough or fast enough. I'm not an offensive line guru, but I know that kick step was a whole lot shorter than it should have been. To try to sit outside, and then by the time he realized it was too late. All he could say was, "Trey, watch out."
So, he's coming.
Right, exactly. Like, my fault.
Can it be fixed though, Kev, or is this something that we're gonna have to be worried about all season? Because if this offensive line goes from what we thought was gonna be a strength to a liability, now that changes a lot of what the 49ers are capable of with this offense, wouldn't you say?
I'm gonna say yes to you, and then to Khalid too in the chat. Yes, Jalen Moore did look better than Banks. But they both did have good reps. As long as we don't get injured up front, and Lord Jesus, please, let us stay healthy. I believe as long as we stay healthy with our starters, we'll be just fine. And remember last year, we lost both tackles at one point in time.
Right.
And they didn't think that we'd do as well as we did. I don't want to have to go to that if we don't have to, but as long as we stay healthy, I think we'll be fine. And as the season progresses, I think those guys will get better.
Yeah, and the thing that's a little bit worrisome is we're already seeing, Trent Williams with some nicks. I don't think he's going to play too much this preseason. They just want to get him healthy for week 1. But, Banks was kind of going to be what allows us to move Brunskill around, whether he needed to play left tackle if Trent Williams was injured or safety if Alex Mack got injured. But now with him not being able really up to speed to be a starting right guard, we got to keep Brunskill there. Then what do we have? You know what I mean? Now that stuff that we thought was going to be a strength because we had, a guy like Aaron Banks that could plug a situation in, a quality, backup like Brunskill that can move and play a couple positions. Now we don't have that anymore. So if Trent Williams goes down or Mack goes down, we're in a lot of trouble, my man.
Well, let's just not even speak that to us. But like I said, and actually Brunskill is a much better guard than he's a tackle. You ask me. So yeah. I think we'll be okay as long as we stay healthy. In the event that these guys have to come in and fill in, I feel better about guard than I do with a tackle. You know what I'm saying? So I know it's not saying much.
Yeah.
But I do think as the season goes along, with practices and nobody likes getting beat. You know what I'm saying? So I think they'll end up correcting their deficiencies sooner than later.
Pinor says our O-line as a unit is a A-, but if one injury happens, it's a C-. And that's true.
I can agree with that.
And you know what? I know we're putting kind of doom and gloom on this, but this is the case for any offensive line. Right. Offensive line, a good, solid offensive lines are premium. Everybody after their starters is pretty thin. Nobody has like this all-star guy in their backup role that they could just bring in and, make everybody better. So we got guys, Alex Mack, Trent Williams, they need to be healthy for sure. Tomlinson obviously is healthy. He stays healthy. We're good. McGlinchey had some good moments in the preseason game. We're good. So if right guard is our only weakest position, that's fine. We can make it makeshift with Brunskill and Aaron Banks, but we really need Mack and Williams to stay healthy.
Yeah, no. I agree. I do. Like I said, let's just hope we stay healthy.
Right.
Like I said, as long as we're not hurt at the same time.
That's true.
And knock on wood. wherever you got something, you know.
Yeah.
But it was just bad, man. Like, I know it's preseason, but especially when you got Derek Woods was out there for a minit. You know,
Yeah.
Chris Jones had us away for a second.
And they have a good defensive line, so it is what it is.
Khalid said change the subject.
Okay, we'll take that. Let's go to some more pauses, man. So you were there live, Kev. You got to see it with the with your own eyes, seeing the guys, feeling it, hearing everything, all the things that we don't get to see on camera. We talked about a lot of names, but tell me some of the players that really stood out to you live, and give us a little in depth about what your takeaways from what you saw.
Real quick, hey Izzy, thank you. So Khalid asked about Maiden. I think he was number 7, right?
I'm not sure what his number is. Yeah, they all changed, so now it's hard to know who's
right.
what.
I mean, I'll tell you who the worst guy was back there in the secondary. That one touchdown we gave up where
he's not on the team anymore.
Is it Wade?
I think it's something like that. Yeah, he's not Tim Harris, I think.
No. This was the guy where he had long dreads. Worldwide Web, W Web, somebody.
Oh, okay.
Spider Web, I don't know, but he was terrible. He got turned around like crazy on that touchdown pass.
Yeah, that was bad.
To Pringle. I'm like, oh man, it was almost like he was like, go that way, and he went. And then they scored. So, I didn't like that at all. Other than that, it was really
Webster, and Webster was cut definitely after that game. So
wait, it was Webster? I thought it was Webb. But hey, it may have been Webster.
Yeah.
Webb. Right. Yeah. BJ Webb, like the Worldwide Web, something. You know what I'm saying? But he was terrible that day.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I know somebody was cut, so I thought it was that corner there. But anyways, let's go on to guys that really stood out to you as far as positives.
Like I said, I'm gonna start at the first level. Arden Key looked good out there. I think Hurst looked pretty good in the middle.
And what did you see out of him that you liked?
Hey, Arden Key was around that edge a lot. Like he almost got home a lot that game. Like he was in the backfield, tapping on the quarterback's shoulder, like, "Hey, I'm here." Even Givens looked good out there. Griffin, is it Jonas Griffin?
Jonas Griffin, man, yeah, the guy was filling in for.
He almost had a pick 6. He almost had and he was all over the place too. So I like that. I think Hilliard flashed a couple times out there for us. Hey, Hufanga though, man, by all everything you can talk about in the secondary, Hufanga, I think they call him Huff. Was by hands down the best guy in the secondary. I mean, he was all over the place.
Yeah, and I think for me, another person that really stood out to me was Lenore, because people were just kind of saying that he wasn't going to be like a good asset. Like he's been getting beat in training camp and so on and so forth. And then when he came out and played the way that he did, got an interception, I really like the way that he's playing. And just like I said earlier, their stick-ativity, the way they stick to the receiver, I think is pretty fire. But talk a little bit more about Jonas Griffin, because one thing that I think people were worried about is the depth at linebacker. Obviously, we have All-Pro Fred Warner. We have big game Dre. Al-Shaair is injured, but he should be back ready to start. But after that, they're trying to put Marcel Harris back there. There isn't like big names that we feel like confident with. But Jonas Griffin came out and I think pretty much showed that he could be a player and be in the rotation if, one of these starters goes down. What was your overall takeaways from the way that you saw him play?
Oh, like I said, me and Dan was like, yo, is that Griffin? Okay, because I thought it was Higgins at first. Rookie out of Ohio State. But I was like, oh, no, that's Griffin. And like I said, he was all over the field, filling gaps, running downhill, assignment. He was assignment savvy. And like I said, he almost had a pick 6. He almost took that thing to the house. It looked like he was reading and reacting good. Another guy that was out there, what's his name?
What position?
I think I just talked about him, linebacker. Oh no, you know what? No, I'm sorry. I know we signed Kendricks.
Yep.
So That's some more depth. But like I said, but Jonas Griffin looked good. Higgins looked good for the times he was out there. So I think we'll be okay in the long run. Marcel Harris even looked pretty good in linebacker. You know, he's still a little undersized, but he makes plays. And like you said, behind, you know, All-Pro Fred and Big Play Dre, there really isn't a lot of more depth behind that. But I think we'll have enough depth to the point where we can kind of stay afloat if, you know, if something happens to, you know, go left.
And both of those guys tend to stay healthy. So once again, we're knocking on wood. Hopefully, we don't.
but let's be honest though, we play a lot of nickel. You know, we don't really play base too much, so you're not going to see a lot of 3 linebacker sets.
True.
And if you ask me, if it was me, I'll put Sosa at Sam. You know, and then once we go nickel, drop into a DN. You know, so that's your Sam right there. Griffin could play Sam if you need him to. Kendricks is mainly a Mike, right?
Yeah, that's what he played with Minnesota at least.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, hey, man, hey, Woodlight.
He's like a very, very poor man's Fred Warner because he was known for like coverage as a linebacker as well. You know, he's somebody who could pick the ball off and could drop into coverage a lot like Fred Warner is. Obviously not as good as Fred Warner, but, you know, a good depth piece to have behind Fred just in case.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean,
he goes down.
I think now our linebacker depth is – I feel a lot better now than I did when the offseason first started because, like you said, it was 2 guys.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So now there's a little depth there. And I'm telling you, Jonas Griffin is going to make his name.
So Coach Timo kind of cleared it up. I think thanks to everybody in the comment section for helping us out live. So Ken Webster is the person that was cut. BJ Webb is the person you were talking about. BJ Webb is still on the roster. Coach Timo believes he's going to get better. You're saying he better get better because that didn't look very good.
And to get that boy a compass because he was lost.
I love it. I love it. That's pretty much what I got for you. We're coming up on an hour, but Kev, I want to give you the floor, man. Talk about anything you want to talk about, anything you need to plug. Obviously, guys, his podcast is Tuesday nights at 4. Go check that out. But Kev, give you the floor, man. What do you want to tell the people?
It's going to be an exciting season, man. Appreciate the time. You know, like you alluded to, you can catch me at Real Talk Niner Talk. And we talked at a Real Talk Niner Talk all day, every day. Tuesdays from 4 until. It's about a 4 until. Because, you know, sometimes we go until, you know, we get done talking.
Right.
You know, my channel, I don't do a lot at my channel anymore because I'm primarily with my guys at a Real Talk Niner Talk. You know, I'm still writing, you know, for all 49ers, Sports Illustrated. I'm actually submitting an article tomorrow, so look out for that. Yeah, man, I appreciate the opportunity. Oh, real quick, man, I don't know if you saw my tweet. So I'm getting on the plane on the way back, and the guy, because, you know, I'm on a torn ACL on my left knee. So I was in a wheelchair, right? So the guy who dropped me off, we talked on the way down, you know, the little thing, and I got to my seat, and he came back. He was like, hey, I thought you looked familiar. He was like, you know, I thought your name looked familiar. He was like, hey, man, I follow you on Twitter. And I kind of looked, I was like, you follow me on Twitter? He was like, yeah, you SliveradoKev, right? And I was like, yeah. He was like, yeah, man, I follow you on Twitter, man. Keep writing. So shout out to that dude, man. Like, hey,
you famous on these streets.
Hey, how random is that, bro? How random is that? The guy that got me to the plane was like, I follow you on Twitter.
That's awesome, man.
Who each other were, man. So it felt amazing, man. It was like, yo, I don't know how to feel. Like, yo, you do? All right, then.
Hey,
appreciate it, brother.
You deserve it, brother. And, you know, I'm humbled to always have you on the show. I know you're going to come back on. You know, we're going to have you pretty regular through the season because I love your takes. And I think that, you know, you teach me every time we're together, man. So I appreciate you taking the time. I love it.
Everybody in the comments who shouted me out, man, I appreciate y'all, man. I'm just humbled to be here. You know, I'm happy to be here. I love talking football. I love talking Niner football. I got a chance to go home, see my family, see my Niners play, man. What more can I ask for?
I love it. I love it. Well, guys, please stay safe. Thank you so much for tuning in. Till next time, let's keep it so real. You guys have a beautiful day.